How you doing, and welcome to my channel. Now, as you can see today, I'm having a look at the new Hot Toys The Amazing Spider-Man figure from the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. And just looking at the box there, this is a big box on this deluxe version. I'm just about getting it into frame, as you can see there. Bit of a reflection off it there as well, but you can see it says The Amazing Spider-Man, an image of what looks like, I'm not sure that is the figure. I don't think that's a figure. I think that's an artist rendition or a movie still. Just looking at the joints, they don't look like a figure, jointed knees. That looks like I said, a still from the movie or an artist rendition. The Amazing Spider-Man deluxe version written at the bottom. On the side, The Amazing Spider-Man MMS 772, and on the back the typical Hot Toys information on the back. And while I pull the cover off here, please hit that subscribe button if you do like this kind of content and you haven't already. And you can see we have another movie promo picture. That is not the figure. That's a movie promo image, which I'm not a fan of. I like to see the figure on the boxes, but nevertheless, there we are for the box. So without further ado, let's get into a pan of the figure. So here we are for a quick pan of the Amazing Spider-Man, and while we do this pan, we'll go through some fun facts. This movie made over $750 million worldwide at the box office, and in 2012 that was pretty amazing. Josh Hutcherson, Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Logan Lerman were considered to play Spider-Man before Andrew Garfield was cast. And Garfield took up yoga and Pilates to become more flexible for his role as Spider-Man or Peter Parker, whichever way you want to put it. And in contrast to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Garfield had web shooters inspired by the original comics, so it was more kind of comic accurate to have the web shooters. Garfield's Spider-Man is a skateboarder, as most of you know, and if you notice, he does a lot of tricks while swinging in the air as Spider-Man that are very similar to skateboarding tricks, which again is in contrast to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who just swung through the air, where Garf does a lot of spins and tricks just like a skateboarder would do. And during breaks and shooting, Andrew Garfield would go and play basketball with local kids in full costume, and there are videos knocking about of him doing that. So there we have it for just a couple of fun facts while we do the pan of the figure, and we'll move on now and we'll have a look at the accessories that come with him. And boy, there is a lot of them. Here we are for all of the accessories and attachments that come with the Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm just going to get these head sculpts out of the way because my camera just wants to focus on them as usual. First of all, we have the Unmasked sculpt of Andrew Garfield. Nobody's going to disagree with me on this one. This is by far the best Andrew Garfield head sculpt we have from Hot Toys to date. Absolutely fantastic, huge upgrade compared to the previous ones. Fantastic sculpt. We'll get into it in a bit more detail a bit later on. I'm just going to move it to the side because the camera keeps focusing on it. And then we have the masked head sculpt, which looks great. Nice shape to it. You can kind of see some of the details of the ears protruding out, the nose protruding out on it, you know, from the side profile. Even though it's a mask sculpt, there is some nice little details there. I do really like the way you can see the shape of the ears underneath the mask. It does have a seam running down the top of it, which is common with the Hot Toys Spider-Man figures. And what I want to point out is we do have interchangeable eyes with this particular sculpt. And the instructions tell you to put your finger in here and pull the eyes out. And I did this already with this eye here. And what it's done is, there's supposed to be a panel there with a magnet on it, but it's stuck inside. It came free from the rest of the eye, and I kind of have to use this magnet off this eye here to pull that section out. As you can see there, it leaves the gap there for the magnet to sit into, and it came free from this part of the eye the first time I pulled it out. And as much as if I don't drop it, it's a bit fiddly. As much as I can get it all back in place, and it looks flush. It looks flush to me. It looks like it goes back where it was, seated where it was. When I put it back in, it actually sits a bit higher than it should. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up on that, but compared to the right eye, it's sitting a little bit higher. It's not as flush as it was. It doesn't sit as flush as it was because of that piece breaking off. So a little bit disappointed in the way that's worked out for me. It's not really noticeable, but now that I see it, I can't unsee it, unfortunately. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up on that, as I said, but just at the bottom there you can see it's just not as flush as the eye that I haven't taken out. So a little bit unfortunate. It's just not leveled. So not something I'm going to be doing again, I suppose. I might switch them out and put the darker eye lenses in, just because I can't unsee that being not entirely flush now. Then moving on, let's get his webs out of the way. We have a lot of webs. We have the tri-web shooter there, the three webs coming out. We have the web here with the point on the end of it. We have the web here with the oval end on it. We have this spiraled web, as you can see, and we have this kind of arched web with the little kind of handle on it, I suppose. And then we have this straight, longer web, the straight shooting one with, again, another little kind of handle on it. So a lot of different options there for the webs. And then we have his skateboard. Quite nicely detailed. You can see this black gripped textured surface on it, as you should have on a skateboard. And I'm sure the camera's picking up on that. You can see that. Let me just increase that light. Is that going to help? No, that's going to help. I'm going to bring that back down. You can see the little patches on it there all over it. It's not just one black, painted piece, but you can see the details where the screws go for the wheels to go on as well. And on the back there, we have some scuffing on it where they should be, and some scuffing around all this high traffic areas as they should be. And all of the wheels do function. They all spin. Not the first time we've gotten a skateboard off of Hot Toys. We did get a skateboard with Marty McFly, and I'm sure there's another figure out there that has a skateboard, but that's just off the top of my head. And then we have his rucksack or his bag. Again, movie accurate bag. It doesn't have any branding on it, but it is a functioning bag that can go on his back. Is it padded out, or is it just a rigid shape? It does have a functioning zip if I can get it to cooperate with me without breaking anything or tearing anything. Is it padded out? No, it's not padded out. There's nothing inside there. It's just the shape of it and the rigidity of it. So I suppose you could put some of his accessories in that backpack. If you're packing the box away, you could fill that backpack up with his hands and his camera or some other bits and pieces. And the bag does function as a way of carrying the skateboard as it should, as it does in the movie. You just kind of have to feed it through these loops here. If I can get it to cooperate with me, there we go, and up into that's kind of a crude way of putting it, but you get the idea. It does go up into the other strap as well, but again, the backpack does accept the skateboard as it does in the movie. Then we have his mask that he holds in his hand for using the sculpt without the mask on. Not the greatest shape. It's a bit kind of, it's not fantastic. You can see this little kind of lip stitching issue on the bottom, on the chin of it there, but it serves its purpose. It is what it is. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's just for him to kind of hold it in his hand, so it does exactly what it says on the tin. Then we have his hands. 10 hands in total. A lot of different gestures here. We have open palm gesturing hands. I actually should have put them there like that. Semi-open gestured hands for the likes of gripping onto his items like so. And then we have open palm gesturing hands. We have web shooting hands. We have 2 sets of closed fists. One set of, I should have them like that as well. One set of completely closed fists for just posing. And then we have closed fists here that have little holes in them there for the webs. If I just grab a web there, and you can just kind of pop the webs into the holes there to make it look like he's holding onto the webs. So nice little addition there, and a nice way of holding onto the webs. already touched on the spare eyes. They do magnetize together. That's why they're together like that. They won't sit beside each other freely without them snapping onto each other. Just darker lenses. Then we have his camera. And nice, very nicely detailed camera. All the little functions and buttons and, you know, bits and pieces on it. Nice detail on it there. It looks absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing. Really impressed with this. The strap on it is just like it looked in the movie. It's movie accurate. And anybody who got the special edition, this part here comes off and you get the flash attachment. Now, there was some speculation in the beginning that this was a functioning flash. I did hear that down the pipeline, but it's not a functioning flash. It doesn't work. It's just an attachment that goes in the camera if you so choose to use it. As I said, there was speculation when he was first announced that it was actually a functioning flash. And I do have the special edition, and this part only comes with the special edition. Then we have his cell phone. Very 2012 looking cell phone. It doesn't flip open or anything. No. I wouldn't expect it to, I suppose. Some not bad detail on it there. Not bad detailing at all. The screen on it there looks like he's playing some sort of game. Looks like a mobile game on it, like a Tetris or something. I'm showing my age there saying Tetris, but moving on swiftly. Then we have this web attachment here, and if I just grab the figure there, now I've already tried earlier on to find the part where it attaches onto, and I really struggled. I've just dropped it there. That's brilliant. Just give me just a second while I pick this up. There we go. I found the part where it sticks to. It sticks to his thigh there. That was a bit of hassle to find that part where it sticks to, but I won't be using it anyway. It looks a bit silly, but there is that attachment there anyway. So that's all the accessories. So let's move on and take a look at the weather vane, or what is it? It's like a satellite tower or something. I'm not sure what it is, but here it is here anyway. This comes with the deluxe version. I can't get it all into frame, so we have to just work from bottom to top. You can see that it's sitting on this black plastic base. If I can pull the light in a bit better, we get a better look at this. Yeah, quite well detailed. Even on the underside of it there, you can see there's some speckling on it. There's some wash in it. It's nicely detailed even on the bottom piece. Then we have the little platform that you can stand the figure on. And on the back here I have the plug in there for the pole, the flight pole to plug into. Quite well detailed. You can see all these details of the nuts and the bolts going through it with the wash and the bit of dry brushing on it. And the weather vane does tilt from side to side. It's on a ball hinge in there, and as I try and tilt it, all I can hear is a creaking, a really bad creaking, cracking sound. So I'm afraid to tilt it in any direction. As it moves up, you can see we have these detailed antennas. It is USB powered with the lights functioning on it, which is an absolutely fantastic bit of detail to have that USB functioning, those lights, to make it a bit more interactive or dynamic. You can see we have the different length antennas and more detailing of the bits of separate sections. Very reminiscent of something from Star Wars. You could use this with a Star Wars figure. You can see we have some scuffed up white paint towards the top of the pole. And again, moving up again, as we go further up, you can see that there is another light at the very top of it, and this piece here comes separate in the box. If I can get it off it with one hand, there we go. This comes separate in the box because it's such a tall piece, and you don't actually have to add that bit if you don't have the height. Mind you, there's not many people that have the height even for it without this extended part here at the top. It's so tall I've had to actually put another card above my usual black card because it's so tall. I measured this in at 60 centimeters tall, so it is a huge base or diorama. So not a lot of people are not going to have space for this, to be honest with you. It certainly won't fit in a detail. And like I said, Spider-Man isn't the only figure you could use this for. You could most definitely use this for a Star Wars figure if you so choose. So there we are for the I keep saying weather vane. Is it a satellite pole? I'm not sure what it is. An antenna, a satellite antenna pole. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm just going to call it a weather vane for now. So there we have it now for the weather vane. So moving on, here we have the Amazing Spider-Man standing pretty much straight up as he comes out of the box. And just looking at the proportions of him there, I think they've gotten the proportions really, really spot on. The elongated torso on him, the long legs, the width of the shoulders are really, really spot on. And in regard to the three people that have played Spider-Man in live action, I think Andrew Garfield had the best proportions. He had the best body proportions to be more accurate to what we would have seen in comic book and animation. I think Tobey Maguire might have been a bit too bulky, and I think Tom Holland is a little bit too short. I think Andrew Garfield, for me, really encapsulates the look of Spider-Man as I would imagine him from the comic books or the animated show. So in that regard, I think he was the best Spider-Man. I'm not saying he was the best Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire's my Spider-Man from my era, but proportions-wise, I think Garfield was definitely more accurate. So moving up from bottom to top in my usual form, we can have this kind of the ankle joint there. It is fully encapsulated into the suit. It's not split there. So if you do break an ankle joint, you are in massive, massive trouble here with this. There is a bit of a crease here, as you can see. Unavoidable, unfortunately, if you're not doing the split boot. But I do like the fact that it is one whole piece. But like I said, a bit of a risk if you break an ankle joint. As for the sole of the shoes he's wearing, if you could call them shoes, absolutely spot on. Look the part, look great. You can see the individual little grips on them there, and the design of them looks really well and nice and colourful, nice and vibrant. And they come up over the back of the heel, which looks the part. All the webbing and design through it, as far as I can remember, I probably should have looked back, but as far as I can remember, all of the design on it here looks spot on. You know, the design of the webbing going up the boot part of the costume is pretty spot on. And as for the stitching all the way up it, the leg and the inside of the leg looks great. He's a bit of a dust magnet. He does like to attract a little bit of dust. It just the dust just catches it in on the texture on the suit. It is a textured suit, but all the stitching looks absolutely fantastic. And even looking at the back there, the proportions look great. The stitching up the back there looks great. And as for the joints inside the leg or inside the suit, on a Hot Toys have a bit of a problem with their bodies underneath showing funky knee joints. I'm just thinking of the new X23 that's going to be with me in a couple of days. I think our knees look a bit funky. But on this one here, it's not too bad. It's not egregious. You can see it is a bit visible. You know, and the more you bend it, it's a bit more visible. But for having a suit so close to his body, so tight to him, I think it looks great. Anybody who's seen my review for Black Widow knows that I wasn't impressed with the joints being exposed every time you bend the knees. So this looks really well for, you know, a skin tight suit. As per usual with Hot Toys, we have the plastic molded hands on them, so they don't exactly match the suit, but I've seen worse on previous iterations of Spider-Man. They're not too bad, and they don't look like Mickey Mouse hands. And you can see we have the web shooters on the inside of the arm there, and the stitching running up looks really well done, nice and clean and tidy. And like I said, the print on it, as far as I can remember, is pretty spot on for the Amazing Spider-Man, you know, the first suit that he was wearing, for the accuracy of the suit. So I've no real complaints. I think the proportions are really, really well done. I really like them. And even there you can see a little bit of trap here as well. And I really like that they haven't abandoned these traps. They haven't disappeared underneath the suit, as happens with a lot of figures. There's a bit of padding underneath there. I feel a bit of padding. That feels like they've put a bit of padding over that there. Just, yeah, that's definitely some padding under there, just to give them a bit of trap, which is something they could have done with the T1000 figure. That looks great. This one here might have a bit of a lump on it there compared to the the left hand side seems more natural than the right, but at least they've give us a bit of traps, which is nice of Hot Toys to do, because they don't do it with every figure. So let's get them a bit more stable. Let's get closer in and see what we have with this masked head sculpt. And here we have the masked head sculpt up close, and the shape of it I think is pretty spot on. It's not too wide as some of them may be. I'm just thinking about the new Toby one that's been announced from the battle damage version of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1 movie. I think the head looks really round. On that Toby one, I think it looks very rounded off, very bobble-headed. But this one's done really well. I love the way you can see the shape of the ears protruding out. You can see the nose protruding out at the side profile. It looks absolutely fantastic. And this is all one piece. There isn't a join there. It's all one piece. So when you're taking off the head, I have had an issue with the neck disconnecting, so I've had to kind of pull it from the lower neck part, because if you just pull it from the head, you're just disconnecting it from inside the neck from the head inside. So you do have to be a bit careful when you're pulling the head off, and pull it off from the neck. The seam running up the top is there, it is present, and it's not great. I'm just going to bring the light up a little bit so we can have a better look at this. The seam is there, and they've put this black line that should be running straight down the center. They've put it to the side a little bit, and I don't think they should have done that. I think they should have left that out, or left it running down the middle, or just used the seam as the black line, because I just think that line there, it takes away from it. You can see where it just goes off to the left there. His left are right, to avoid the seam line, and it just takes off the symmetry. It takes away from the symmetry of it. I think a close inspection, it just takes away from that symmetry, and I don't like it. I think they should have just not put that line in and use the stitching as the line. Would have been the best way to do that. But apart from that, I'm quite pleased with it. I think it looks really well. I think it looks really accurate as it can anyway. He does have the interchangeable eyes, as I said. I'm not changing them out. I do have an issue with this one, and I've gotten it in as close as I can. But if I bring that just a little bit closer, you can see, hopefully on camera you can pick up that this one here just it's protruding a little bit more than that one, because I haven't taken that other one out. I've only taken out the left eye, and it just came apart from the magnet, and it won't sit flush anymore. So I don't think I'll be taking his eyes out anymore. If I do take them out, I'll be just replacing them with the darker lenses and leaving them at that. But look at that. That looks absolutely fantastic. That side profile, the shape of the head looks absolutely spot on. Looks great. And the articulation in it is okay. There's plenty of articulation. It does what it needs to do. Okay, possibly could look up a bit higher, but there's plenty of articulation in it, especially without having a seam in it. It's fine for articulation. But when you do articulate, you do get a bit of bunching up, because it's all one piece. If you pull it down, you do get a bit of bunching, and same with left and right. But these are the sacrifices you have to make for a fully seamless, more accurate looking figure. And you can see at the back there, that seam running all the way down the back. At the back, it's not a major issue. It's, not a major concern, because it's at the back, obviously. But just at the front there, Hot Toys need to sort out this way of getting this seam looking a bit better. Not too bad on this figure. I've seen worse, but they need to improve this, and especially sort it out for the new Toby battle damage version. It looks egregious. So here we are for the Andrew Garfield head sculpt, and nobody's going to disagree with me on this one. This is the best Andrew Garfield head sculpt we have to date. Absolutely incredible, uncanny looking from the side profile. Looks just like him, looks great. Now I will mention, while I have him to the side there, that his articulation in his head is great. It's not anything fantastic. For the back of the hair catches the neck, and he doesn't really articulate up and down. Plenty of swivel from angling it from, plenty of pivot is the word I'm looking for, and plenty of left and right obviously, but just up and down has a bit of an issue. And I will mention as well, you can see the lesions and the battle damage to the side of his face, the lacerations, which looks great. It all looks good. It even runs into his neck. It looks really good on the side here. Looks nice, looks well painted, looks nicely detailed. But I will say that they are painted. None of these are sculpted in. Let me get him centered in. None of these are sculpted, which leaves me to believe that a possible Amazing Spider-Man 2 figure is going to be done using this head sculpt, but not battle damage, because I think if they were going to use this head sculpt once, they would have molded in the damage on his face, the contusions on his face, but they didn't. They just painted them on. So I'm thinking that maybe possibly we're going to get a reuse of this head sculpt with an Amazing Spider-Man 2.0 figure at some point. But just a speculation. If I was going to nitpick about this head sculpt, I'd say maybe the eyes are a little bit too wide open, which Hot Toys tend to do these days. They need to sort that out as well. It just, some of the figures just, the eyes look a bit too open. Not a deal breaker. Still looks the part, still looks fabulous. And as for the hair sculpts, looks really well done. Definitely not Hot Toys' best hair sculpting. It loses a bit of detailing around the sides. The front of it looks absolutely great. There's a bit of depth to it, and even at the back there, you can see how it goes off in different directions, and the crown, the way it spreads around, it spreads in different directions at the crown. Just at the sides there, it just loses a little bit of detail, but still a fantastic sculpt. Still fantastic head sculpting from Hot Toys, as per usual, and Andrew Garfield does have an incredible mop of hair, and I think they've done well with it. I think they've done it justice. It doesn't look like a helmet sitting on his head, which could have been something that could have happened with the head of hair that he has. They could have made it look like a helmet, but it looks really well. It doesn't look overdone. It looks just like it should, so I'm quite impressed with it. Like I said, the lacerations on the face, is the fact that they're not sculpted in, leads me to believe that we're gonna get a reuse of this head sculpt, and I don't see why they wouldn't. It is a really good head sculpt. So there we have it for that particular head sculpt. I do have one more thing that I'm gonna try here. Here's something I got a while back when I had full intentions of getting the No Way Home Andrew Garfield, or the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Garfield as it was labelled. Unfortunately, I never got round to getting it. It became a very difficult figure to get, and it became quite pricey if I did want to get him, and I might still, but I do hope to get it. We get a 2.0. But I did want the No Way Home look to him, where he was a bit more aged, and this was made by Black 8 Studio, if my memory serves me correctly. And it comes in this neat little box here, as you can see there, Garfield written on it, bearded version it says. And it has the two little inserts for the neck piece and the head sculpt. So a nice little packaging for it. I know this isn't the right suit, I understand that. This is going to be a fill-in. Hopefully we get a 2.0, as I said. And I can confirm that it is compatible with this suit. It does fit, as you can see there, and hopefully I do, we do get a 2.0, because I have Toby from No Way Home, and I have the integrated suit from Tom Holland. So it would be nice to put the three of them together if I do get hold of maybe a cheap deal on the 1.0 Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2. But fingers crossed we get a 2.0 and I can use this head sculpt on it. Not Hot Toys standard. Definitely not Hot Toys standard. But it does show an aged Andrew Garfield, which is what I'm looking for. Very different to the Hot Toys one, as you can see there. Very different look to him. He's a lot younger in the Amazing Spider-Man series. And look, as I'm saying there, the eyes on this one are a little bit too small now, so I'm trying to find a happy medium, The hairline is going back a bit, but still poofy, but the sculpt on it is not Hot Toys standard at all. It's nowhere near Hot Toys standard. Very Ken doll looking. It is really lacking in detail on the hair sculpting. But I do think the sculpt, the face itself, for what I paid for it, I didn't pay a huge amount for it, for the sculpt, but I do like to have this older looking Andrew Garfield for when I do complete the No Way Home, you know, with the three of them together. So, you know, and get a No Way Home Garfield and put him with the other two Spider-Man figures. So I just thought I'd showcase that and show you that it is compatible with this body, which is fantastic. I was kind of a bit worried that it wasn't going to be compatible, but it is absolutely compatible with this. So if they do make it 2.0, I can't see them changing the design of the neck connector. So I have no doubt that it will be compatible with an updated version of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. So there we go. There we have it for the Hot Toys Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2 figure. There's a few images there I've left you with. I did have quite a bit of fun posing this guy up. If you did make it this far, thank you very much. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe, please do consider hitting that. It really does, you know, spread the video and helps grow my channel. So as I said, that's pretty much it. Thanks very much for watching, and hit the like and subscribe, and take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.